My mother talked about evicting my daughter. I snapped at her.
Be like Thanos. Snap back.
April 3rd, 2025. I, 66 female, am retired, but kept very busy by caring for my mother, 85 female, and my disabled husband, 64 male. My mother does not live with us. She lives in an assisted living facility where I visit her every few days to check up on her and see if she needs anything. During my latest visit, she brought up how I should finally get my daughter, 29 female, Claire, out of the house. By the way, this comes from user FewHunter2043, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Now, for some additional context, yes, my daughter does indeed still live with me and my husband for many factors, including her rather fragile mental health, but what my mother does not understand is that despite us being parent and child, we are not living in a parent and child kind of situation. We are roommates that just happen to also be family, because neither her nor my husband and I could afford places of our own in this economy. We are dependent on Claire just as much as she is dependent on us. Claire holds down a full-time job which doesn't pay great, but doesn't pay awful either. She pays her fair share in rent, utilities, and groceries, and does her fair share of chores, and sometimes even takes over some of my chores when she feels I need a break. I cook on Wednesdays when Claire has to work, but Claire has weekends off, so she takes over cooking duties. She has a savings account for emergencies, she pays for the family Netflix account, and even spends some of the fun money she has left over every month, which isn't much, on little treats for my husband and I, no matter how often I ask her not to waste what little money she has to enjoy life on us. So, with all of that as background, my mother's comments made me pretty angry because Claire does so much to not be a burden to my husband and I, despite me telling Claire that I love her and could never see her as a burden. I also fear my mother may have planted that thought in her head when I wasn't around. Meanwhile, all my mother seems to do is demand, demand, demand. She has nurses at her disposal in that assisted living facility and people who do grocery runs for her, but she never uses these services and demands I do everything for her instead. She demands all of my time, energy, and attention. I suspect she may want to push me to throw Claire out so she could move in with my husband and I and force me to be her full-time caretaker. I was already having a crap day, so I just snapped and told her that Claire's living situation is none of her dang business. She started crying and asked why I would yell at her for just being concerned. Reddit, am I the a-hole for snapping at my mother? I mean, I think that's a pretty big stretch. That's a stretch for her to be like, I'm concerned. It's like, you're concerned whether or not you'll have a room that you could move into.
Yeah, when you already have a living facility and all these services, and now you're trying to make OP your full-time caretaker,
right?
When she's already caretaking for her husband.
Exactly. It'd be different if it was like I'm worried about Claire, I'm worried she's not gonna have the skills, whatever. Because it is true, if you're like overly sheltered and you don't have to pay any bills for like your whole early adultôt, like it can screw you up.
It's the responsibility thing. Yeah, and it seems like Claire's doing okay.
She's literally doing everything she needs to do. She's paying rent, she's paying utilities, she's buying groceries, she's helping out around the house. She's doing it.
Yeah, she's not.
And they need that money.
She's not getting off scot-free. She's actually helping out and, like Opie said, being a roommate.
It's just a very clear attempt at the mom here to just like maximize her own gain.
And she's not comfortable with anything but OP.
Yeah. Well, we have some comments. Let's see what's going on here. Top comment says, not the a-hole. Parents of any age love to judge their kids living in financial situations, even when they don't have all the information. The economy's in the crapper. I think it's nice that your daughter's staying at home and helping you out. Does your mom know about the financial situation? Do you want her to know? Maybe it's time for some tough love and to lower your visitations. Even if she is your mother, you don't owe her anything. Family does not have the right to ruin your peace. OP says, my mom knows about our financial situation, but she thinks that's no excuse. That doesn't... Again, so it is. It's just a transparent move to move in with you.
Yeah, she's not comfortable and she only likes your service.
Commenter, does your mother have to pay for the grocery and nursing services or are they included? If inclusive, ask her why she's wasting your time and her money by not using services she already paid for. Doing that would help you a lot more than stopping supporting your daughter even if she was dependent, which she is not. If she's concerned about your workload, she has that in her power to help, but emphasize you'd still be around to see her. OP says, these services are included in my mother's rent, but she refuses to use them because, quote, the shoppers always get her the wrong items. She's very particular about what companies she wants to get her food from, and she's afraid that the nurses will rifle rifle through her belongings and steal anything of value she has. Mom wanting to move in with OP. Yes, that's my suspicion as well. I am still trying to figure out a slightly kinder way to say I'd rather pull my own fingernails out than let you move in with me. OP talks about her husband here. My husband isn't Claire's father. I would even hesitate calling him her stepfather. I met him when she was 23 and married him when she was 26, so he came into her life a bit late to be a parental figure. When they talked about it prior to us getting married, Claire told him that while he may have come into her life too late to be her father, in her eyes, there's no such thing as coming into someone's life too late to be family. So while she doesn't see him as a father figure, she does see him as family, and they have a great relationship with inside jokes even I don't understand at times. And there is an update. April 6th, 2025. Let's dig in. Hello, everyone. First, I'd like to thank you for all your incredibly kind words and helpful advice. Yesterday, I sat with my daughter for our Easter tradition of getting together as a family and eating a big batch of my grandmother's pickled eggs. While we ate, we made a huge mess, which, if my grandma was to be believed, is essential to the egg tasting experience. I reminded Claire that I love her and that she will always be welcome with my husband and I. She seemed a bit confused by it suddenly coming up, but thanked me and told me she loved me too. When I asked if she had spoken to her grandmother lately, she said no, she hadn't spoken to my mother since my birthday. Today, I drove to visit my mom again and have a talk about what happened, and it went surprisingly well. I started out by apologizing for snapping at her like that, because regardless of my mental state, I should not have gone on the attack, and I truly am sorry. I sadly am the type to bottle up my feelings instead of communicating them immediately, and it's something I know I need to work on. Hey, you and almost everyone else on Earth, don't feel bad, OP.
Also, good for OP on literally taking the first fault and saying, I'm sorry.
Exactly. However, I also told my mother that I am not willing to talk about Claire's living situation with her and asked her to use the facility's services a bit more in the future, instead of always relying on me, because I have a life of my own and a husband who also needs me, probably more than she does, but I didn't say that part out loud. She started crying again, asking why Claire and I hate her so much. She talked about how Claire never calls and only seems to acknowledge her existence when she absolutely has to, and has now also turned me against her. She asked if I was really so sure that Claire wouldn't eventually start ignoring me the way she's ignoring her. It's like, what are we talking about? This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about you letting them buy your groceries for you because I cannot manifest more time into the day that doesn't exist.
And she's turning into a victim. I'm the victim here because you won't let your daughter move out.
And she's going, you'll see, she'll do it to you. It's like,
what are we doing here, Grandma?
Mom, I just don't have the time to buy your groceries for you. Let them buy them. I was getting very impatient with her again, but I was prepared for it this time and managed to stay calm and ask her to think back to her interactions with Claire over the past 5 years and the many moments of her being rude or downright cruel to Claire. I even named some specific instances Claire told me about, and to put herself in Claire's shoes. Would she want to spend any time with someone who treated her like that? I felt ridiculous talking to my 85-year-old mother like she's a 5-year-old child, but when I told her that we love her, but at times we don't feel particularly loved by her, it seemed to actually get through to her. She stopped crying and told me that she didn't realize her comments hurt my daughter so badly. In my mother's defense, Claire, like me, has the habit of bottling up her feelings in the moment and disengaging instead of communicating unless she feels she can 100% predict the other person's reaction. So she most likely never told my mother that these comments hurt her and just started distancing herself. And by the way, you never have to distance yourself from full episodes with stories like this. You just have to go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts and search OK Storytime. And then you'll have 54 days of content to listen to.
And counting.
And I'm seeing that this picture is almost coming to a close here. Keon, you have anything to add?
I think OP, stand your ground. Even if Claire did move out, that does not give an excuse for your mother to move in. She has all these services that she's not using. She's living in a home that there's a reason why she's living there. And there was a reason why she wasn't living with you in the first place. So, sorry, Mom. This is straightforward and to the point. Again, I'm a grown woman and I have to do my grown things and help my husband. You are not priority number one right now.
Yep, OP did it the right way. Didn't get mad, did it with empathy, it's frustrating to have to talk to your parent like they're 5 years old, but
that's what happens when, they get older. You have to treat them like that. It's unfortunate, and that's just life. In regards of the relationship with Claire and your mom, I think they need to have a conversation because, if that's not cleared up in the air or, if your mom doesn't apologize, Claire's going to still hold it against her.
Yeah, we can't keep bottling. Gotta let it out. I'm going to let the rest of the story out right now. My mother promised to use the facility services more and in turn asked me if we could go out and do something fun every now and then. Her definition of fun is usually going to the casino with a very strictly enforced budget, so we'll see about that. It doesn't sound terrible for some mother-daughter bonding time. I'm not sure how things will develop now, but I am hopeful. I'll tell Claire what her grandma and I talked about today and see if she's willing to give her the chance to make amends. I won't push her though. Thank you again for all the helpful advice and encouragement, and that is the end of that story.
Phenomenal. That's cool. You know,
Left it on a good note.
Yeah, you have some mom and daughter time. And hey, guess what? I think once that connection's good, you can switch it up to mom, daughter, and granddaughter time. And you know, if your mom could patch that emotional cutoff with Claire, great.
Yeah, that's all you really need.
My mother insulted my girlfriend's hearing impairment, so we left.
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of you leaving.
To preface, I, 34 male, live on the other side of the country from my parents. I'm in Arizona, they're in Florida. I haven't seen them since Christmas of 2022 due to finances and timing. They snowbird in Argentina for half the year. That's where they're from. By the way, this comes from user Crayon0117, and you can submit your own stories to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. My oldest brother, who lives in New York, has also not been able to spend Christmas with either of us every year. And this is the first time all of us were to be together for the holidays since 2017. The last time I went down in 2022, I had just started dating my girlfriend, 25 female, not too long before. She had just moved out of her own bad situation with her mother and was living with me. Since I had the trip planned for a while, she stayed back to watch our pets while I went to Florida and spent the holiday alone, which I felt terrible for, but she insisted that I still go. My girlfriend also happens to be hearing impaired since birth with continuous loss in hearing. She wears hearing aids, but at this moment, only one has worked while we wait for the other to be fixed. She also has PNES and gets seizures. Light will trigger it, but so will high anxiety and stress, mostly caused by trauma and PTSD triggers, and will definitely worsen the frequency. My father also has health issues which play into the story. He has COPD and cannot fully walk or use the right side of his body really after a stroke several years back. He recently was diagnosed with prostate cancer and had begun treatment just a week before we went to visit. Now it's 2024. Money is tight because I'm the only one working. Due to my girlfriend's medical issues, she hasn't had a job, and we're just in the process of trying to diagnose whatever else is bothering her, and the PNES diagnosis is fairly recent, and we're trying to get an effective dosage.
PNES is psychogenic non-epileptic seizures.
Because of that, my mom spots the payment for the flights, but I've been paying her back every month. My girlfriend and I are not really excited to go down and spend Christmas not only with my parents, but my brother and sister-in-law are pretty much all my family that live down in Florida. Day one. We get there in the evening. My mom picks us up from the airport and everything is great. My parents are getting along great with my girlfriend. One of my aunts are over with their new man, and my girlfriend and her connect, and we're all having fun. That night, my girlfriend starts coughing and is pretty much coughing all night. Mind you, we had been not going out at all to reduce any sort of exposure, drinking emergency for a week before going, wore masks on the plane. We made sure not to get sick and didn't feel sick prior to going. Both my girlfriend and I have an allergy to black mold that we got from exposure as kids. Hers is more severe than mine, and she knew from how she was coughing that this was indeed mold.
Ah, the mold in the walls.
My parents within the last 2 years have had some serious water damage in their house, and you can honestly smell it. And just walking around, especially in the garage, you can see signs of it. Day 2. Once we woke up, we slept in due to the time difference and had a bit of a late start. I was going to take a look at my mom's car because the transmission acted up on the way home from the airport. She had a friend pick them up to take my dad for his treatment, and while they were there, I was working on the car. But that's when I noticed the signs of mold. My girlfriend was the first to point them out. I expressed my concern about this when they got back later that night, but my mom didn't think they had a problem. My girlfriend's cough got worse that night and pretty much kept us up the entire time. And then I began to develop a cough too.
Why are we staying for 3 days? You say the house is full of mold. You guys shouldn't live here. We're leaving.
Yeah, why are we so nonchalant about mold? Like, if you can smell it, great. But 2, if you can see it, if you can literally see the mold, and be like, that's been there since 3 years ago.
Different if it's like one spot. If it's like the whole house.
Or the whole garage.
Not good.
The whole garage. Oh my God. Plus others. Oh no. On to day 3. We go out later running errands. My girlfriend and I notice our cough slows/goes away while we're outside of the house, or it goes away just completely when we're out. When we got back, I also noticed that the rubber seal on their fridge was completely covered in a fairly thick layer of, guess what? Black mold. I put on a mask, gloves, and got some cleaning supplies that I brought to clean off as much as I could. But the mold had penetrated and stained the rubber.
Are we even sure that your dad has COPD at this point and it's not just a constant mold cough?
My mom is still very dismissive of the idea. Mind you, she always dismisses my concern, especially medical concerns, even though I've been working in healthcare since I was 18. She even didn't only tell me everything that was going on with my dad before the stroke, and if she had been open with me, I would have told them to take the other medication out of the two options for his dizziness at the time, because if they also told me they had 90% of blockage in his carotids, of course they should take the dang blood thinner and not the one for vertigo. My mom, girlfriend, and I go out to get some Robitussin for her cough and get some other things for Christmas Eve. Her seizures start getting set off because it's sundown and the sun was right in her eyes. Even with sunglasses, it was just too strong. We drop her off, and while my mom and I continue running errands, she starts telling me that I shouldn't have kids with my girlfriend. We had expressed that eventually we would both like to have kids, and she's the first person I've been with where I've actually had the feeling and comfort of having kids. And I tell her, a bit thrown back, that she's working on her issues to get to a point where we could have kids. But my mother responds with, yeah, but she has a lot of issues, as if it'll never happen.
I don't even know if it's in that context.
Yeah.
It feels more like in the context of like, yeah, but it's like you don't want to have kids with someone with all those issues because then your kids are going to have those issues, you know?
And you know what?
Which,
you sign up for that, and you know it. You want that with your loved one,
yeah. Well,
and you prepare them for that.
it's just so out of pocket to say about anybody because it's like what you are not the arbiter of birth. That's so crazy.
Yeah. I put an end to it. We finished running errands and went back to my parents' place. Later on, I press the matter again, and my mom just brushes it off to the point where I start to get louder in volume and a little ticked off. My girlfriend goes to sit on the back patio to remove herself from the room, which is just on the other side of the door from where we were standing. I'm arguing with my mother about the mold, and she walks to the back door and just chuckles off what I have to say while closing the door. I notice that my girlfriend looks back and makes eye contact with my mom while she's closing that door. The argument blows over, and we don't get much movement on it, but I'm telling her that we know it's mold from our reactions to it and that it's bad for them, especially for my dad with his COPD. That night, both my girlfriend and I have really bad coughs again. Day 4, we wake up, I go out of the room to say good morning, and my mom, right after saying good morning, starts telling me how my dad now has a cough and that she wants my girlfriend and I to take pandemic tests and possibly to get tested for the flu or something.
Ma, it's the mold. There's mold everywhere, Ma. Come on.
I told her I know it's not the vid, it's not even the same symptoms, and we made sure not to get sick. But we still take the vid test, and they're negative, just like I expected they would be. We hang out with them for a bit, and then my girlfriend and I go back into the room to lay down for a bit, about 10 to 20 minutes, and change before starting the day. Thankfully, we already had changed, but my mom quickly knocks and comes in yelling at us about how she didn't fly us out to spend time in the room and spend time with them or not help them out around the house. Again, this is mostly directed towards me. My girlfriend leaves the room and separates herself, especially because it starts triggering some of her PTSD moments, so she went outside. I'm arguing with my mom, mad about how she came in hot and telling her we were just about to go spend time out there, that we're just upset that they think we would risk getting my dad sick and that his cough is from the mold. We start going back and forth about that, and I mentioned how I'm sick of her dismissing my concerns, and mentioned her laughing it off the other day before we were arguing about the same issue. She denied laughing it off, so I told her my girlfriend even heard her and saw her laugh it off. So my mom responded with, I don't care what she says. She can't even hear. That was the final straw for me, because I will never tolerate using her disability against her like that, or for anyone else either.
Brother, she already literally implied your girlfriend's too messed up to have children. She already really disrespected her.
It was such a nasty and unjustified insult. I take full accountability, but I flipped a crap. Never in my life have I yelled at my parents, cursed at them, slammed doors, or anything of the sort. But in that moment, I told my mom, F you. How dare you use her disability against her like that? That was such an effed up thing to say. I can't even believe you said that. Go F yourself. I'm done. And I walked out of the front door and I slammed it.
Did you leave your girlfriend in there?
I think she was already outside because of her PTSD.
Was she out front or out back?
She's not in that room.
Well, I hope she saw you leave.
I walked around to the back patio thinking my girlfriend was there, but she wasn't. She had gone across the street to the park and was at a bench. I just walked around the block quick to get away from the house. I found my girlfriend and I told her everything that happened. And she's been judged and received bias for her hearing impairment, but no one has ever gone as far as to discredit what she knows she's heard and was too insulted. I also told her about what my mom said the day before while we were running errands. My girlfriend already has a lot of trauma with mothers and felt comfortable enough to open up and be vulnerable with mine, and thought my my mom knew where she was coming from. My mom had also been super sweet with her the whole time I've been with her during FaceTime and such, but switched up after our first day here. I text one of my cousins and he said we could crash at his place because at this point, neither of us felt comfortable sleeping there due to the mold mainly. Our coughs hadn't gotten any better. And then after the comment, my girlfriend and I just felt too insulted. So we packed our things, took an Uber over to my cousin's, and as we were packing, my mom came into the room shocked that we were leaving. I told her it's because of the comment she made, and she said that's not what she meant. She said she didn't mean it like that. She turned to my girlfriend and asked if we could talk about it, but my girlfriend knew it was too deep of a cut and too fresh to talk about. And if she really started to open up, she wouldn't stay calm and didn't want to lash out or say something disrespectful. So she set a boundary and said, no, not right now. I don't want to talk. My mom then asked if she could hug her, and my girlfriend says no.
It's just like so clearly that the mom is like such a surface level individual.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
She doesn't respect anybody's feelings.
She just has that like, oh, she's just a little sweetie pie on the outside, but then like you have a real conversation with her and she just, is not a sweetie.
She went in anyway for a hug and my girlfriend backed off. She tried a third time and she had to say no again and was getting really frustrated. My mom then tries to give her all the Christmas gifts because at this point, my girlfriend had said she doesn't know if she'll be there on Christmas Day and will just hang out in the room. She didn't accept any of them. We didn't want to bring them in at that moment, and my mom told her, don't be such a butt. As we're leaving, my girlfriend says bye to my dad, but not my mom, as she doesn't want to blow up, and I say goodbye. We spend the night at my cousin's and realize my cough got better, but now hers, my girlfriend, is consistent, and she's showing signs of bronchitis. Day 5. We try to figure out where we're going to stay because our flights were until the 27th, but it was only the 21st. 6 more days. My cousin's roommate was leaving for the weekend and said we can use his room, so that gave us 2 nights, but I was going to ask one of my other family members if we could stay there. That was also contingent on if my mom would apologize for what she said about my girlfriend. I chalked up and owned everything that I did and said. I was taught by them to take accountability for my actions, but my mom has a real hard time doing that when it's not something trivial like forgetting to get something like at the supermarket.
The classic rules for thee, but not for me.
I text her, trying to figure this out, and she essentially doubles down and says she didn't mean that she can't hear anything, but that my girlfriend has selective hearing. Still, selective hearing implies that someone tunes out of the combo if they want to, not that they're hearing made-up things.
Buddy, her saying selective hearing implies that you're an idiot, because she thinks you're going to believe she's telling the truth.
She just can't take accountability. She's still not taking accountability. Your mom.
Literally, it's pathetic.
This is all so she can say that she doesn't dismiss what I have to say when I try to use my knowledge from my 17 years of healthcare experience to help them, just so she can say she didn't laugh me off. We keep on going back and forth. On to day 6. She texts me, good morning. Why don't you just come back for the remainder of our stay to try and recuperate some of the holiday spirit, but refuses to acknowledge that what she said was hurtful and didn't show any remorse for how she made my girlfriend feel. If anything, she took my girlfriend setting boundaries while we were packing as disrespect.
Her trying to hug your girlfriend multiple times is like so cringe. She's so cringe.
It's like one was like no, and she came in and then she's like no. Come on, 3 times you're out. She didn't want to talk in that moment, but my mom wouldn't accept no, not right now, for an answer. They started at a mold test the day before, but it was less than 24 hours, and they're supposed to run for 72. We weren't going to stay mostly for the mold, but especially now because my girlfriend really doesn't trust my mom actually likes her and refuses to apologize. Not even a half, but one. And that night, we were able to move our flights up. And by the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and search OK Storytime.
That's all it takes. Then you've got the whole archive available to you. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy.
No mold. No mold in that crazy.
My final thought on this is like, I'm not entertaining these people. If it's like, mom wants to try to lie, I'm gonna be like, mom, I'm a grown man. You and I both know that's not what you meant.
Mom,
and if she goes, just go, mom, you're not gonna pull the wool over my eyes on that.
Mom is doing the mother knows best kind of thing. And
only works when your children are children, not when they're also fully grown adults.
We flew out next morning and got back to Arizona yesterday. I sent my dad a voice message about how upset I was because we wouldn't be able to spend Christmas with him or the rest of the family, but that I had put my foot down and not let my mom treat me like that or get away with disrespecting someone I love. I'm doing what they taught me to do, to be faithful and a devoted partner and not to take crap from anyone. No one has reached out to me. My brother is shocked and said we'll talk about it later. My dad responded this morning that he won't talk to me if I respond and that my girlfriend was disrespectful and has no concept of family. Meanwhile, I'm the only one who got loud, who said anything disrespectful, decided to move our flights up. She purposely didn't suggest anything because this was my fight. But my family is now villainizing. So, am I the a-hole for leaving to maintain my peace and spend Christmas back at home with my girlfriend and our fur babies? And we have an edit. My father, girlfriend, and I all have bronchitis now. Yippee.
Yay, the more the merrier.
And I guarantee you, guess what? They're gonna blame it on you or probably, most likely, your girlfriend.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't come around with I wouldn't come around, period, after that. Are you serious?
I want them to, like, hey, hear out the results. And again, your mother is disrespecting all your emotions, all your feelings, and what? Especially your girlfriend at most, too. What?
Yeah, I would say low contact, probably, it's an upsetting situation for sure.
Yeah.
My father disrespected my partner, so I'm not inviting him to our wedding.
You ain't coming.
Let me start off with me, female 23, and my partner, trans female 24. We've been engaged for 5 years out of the 6 years we've known each other, after casually hitting each other up on a dating app after many failed long relationships. She just gets me like no other relationship I've ever had before, and it feels like I have truly met my best friend. By the way, this comes from user UnlikelySnow2329, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Let me make a few points. One, in the beginning, my partner didn't open up to me about being trans, as she was not transitioning yet and was still kind of on the fence about how she would like to present herself. 2, she has never been, nor ever will be, ashamed of herself or her identity. 3, I am pan, so whatever way that she wants to go, I am down for, because I fell in love with the person, not the parts. As long as she's healthy and happy, I could care less, and I've been very vocal about this to other people who have tried to tear her down. I have been very low contact to no contact with my biological dad since I was 13, after years of emotional and mental abuse and him weaponizing the Bible as an answer to everything. I've been in regular contact, however, with my stepmom, as she has always wanted a daughter and was very upset with how my dad treated me. Where she comes from, women and girls are queens and princesses and should be treated as such. But also to keep in contact with my 2 half-brothers, who I basically helped raise on the weekends during my visits, because that was what was expected of me since they were born, because I was a girl. Another pair of characters who I have kept contact with are my grandparents on my father's side, because they've always told me no matter what I have decided, they will love me because I am their granddaughter. That, and they both have told me multiple times when I was little that they always wanted a girl but ended up with 3 boys. So they've doted on me as if I was just a daughter, not a granddaughter, since I was born. Well, my grandparents, called me up asking if I would like to join them for Christmas Eve dinner. Because my grandpa's not doing so well health-wise, the doctors have told him that he doesn't have much longer to live, and that it's a matter of when, not if, he has another stroke, that he will most likely not survive. Wow. Oof, that's a crazy news to have from your doctor.
That's sometimes the reality. At least they tell you, honestly.
I think that's a great way to approach it, though. You're like, hey, come over for Christmas dinner, because I might not be making it to the next one.
This is the last one.
It should come on over. So, of course, I said yes, except I did express I wasn't sure how I was going to get there because they live on their own property, they're farmers, and live in the middle of nowhere out in the sticks. Due to my own medical issues, I'm not able to get a license, and due to my financial state not being that great right now, I can't even afford a car, let alone the insurance, so public transportation has been my best friend. My grandmother said as long as she has her keys to her car, she's more than willing and able to come pick me up and drop me off afterwards. Now it's Christmas Eve morning. I wake up to a number I don't recognize calling me. However, I thought for some reason it could be my new doctor or maybe my insurance trying to call me back. I've been battling trying to get in to see a new primary that was in my area that would be covered by my insurance. Also, please forgive me, I had not yet had my coffee, so my brain wasn't fully aware that it was Christmas Eve and no random number from the doctor's office would be calling me that morning. Could you guess who was on the other end of the line? Yep, that's right. It was my bio dad.
Dun, dun,
Yeah, play the surprised music. He doesn't even say hello. He just gets straight to the point that my grandmother had some sort of emergency at church when she attended this morning. So he would be the one picking me up with my stepmom in tow to bring me to my grandparents' place for Christmas Eve dinner. He said he was almost to my house and please be outside and ready to go as he wants to get to my grandparents' place, and then hung up on me. Now, I'm thinking, was this a setup? Was this a become trapped in the car with your father so you can reconcile type setup?
Yeah, especially for your grandfather who doesn't have much time left.
There's nothing worse than a captive conversation. Bro, my dad.
When it's pulled right from under your feet.
Now, I know this is where I should have called him back and told him to get lost, or that I'd find another way to get to my grandparents' place without him having to come pick me up. However, I hesitantly got in his car with my stepmom because I really wanted to see my grandparents, and I wasn't really fully awake. Then 10 minutes go by. It was pleasant, conversational, mainly between my stepmom and I. How things are going with the wedding planning. How are you liking your apartment, etc., etc. And then the topic I was really hoping we wouldn't bring up, my partner. And where was she now? My stepmom was calling her by her preferred pronouns and her preferred name, asking how she had been, to which my bio dad stops stepmom right in her tracks and starts berating me about how he has a problem with the fact I'm dating someone who thinks that his God is wrong and that it's disgusting and that I'm clearly mentally ill if I believe that I could have a happy life with my partner being the way that she is. He then went on to dead name my partner and used the wrong pronouns, telling me that that's the way my partner should live her life and that I should forcing her to go back to her dead name, and the wrong pronouns if I wanted to live a quote-unquote real life. Let's just say I blew up, tears streaming down my face with anger and sadness, and I was about ready to jump out of the car on the highway going 75 miles an hour. My stepmom tried to come to my aid and tell him to shut the F up and that it was Christmas and to please stop making me upset. She didn't want to see me cry or hear me upset, and that today was supposed to be a happy day. Yeah, honestly, if stepmom...
W stepmom.
How do you stay with this man?
Yeah, W step.
No, I mean, half W.
Oh, V stepmom.
By the time we got to my grandparents' place, he started telling me that he could never support my mental illness and the way that my partner is trying to present herself is immoral and that it's not a real wedding if that is the road that we're willing to go to, which I told him I didn't want him in my wedding to begin with. And that, yes, my partner is going to be at our wedding in an effing wedding dress, and there was nothing he could do to stop her or me from going through with the marriage. If he was so unhappy with the fact that I'm gay, he could just not attend, and I would not send him an invitation.
Very easy. Yes.
Anyway, I want to let you know, by the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime, and you have the whole world in your hands. The whole world of OK Storytime.
Be careful with that.
Over 2,000 episodes.
Precious.
Anyways, we have a little bit left here. We all know what we're doing, right? Dad's not going to the wedding. Don't feel bad about it.
Maybe and just invite stepmom.
Invite stepmom for sure. And then try to convince her to leave your father. Please.
Yeah, set her up at the wedding.
Please. I don't understand how someone could stay with a partner that is actively like bigoting their own child. I don't see how you don't leave. Apparently, my family members overheard all of what he was saying to me in my grandparents' driveway. Most of them agreed with me that it was disgusting, the things that he was saying, while others were telling me that it would be an a-hole move if I decided to not have my father in my wedding and that they would not attend. You know what you say to that? Bye-bye. Okay, bye-bye. My grandma and grandpa told me that they will come no matter what if they're still alive by then. So would I be the a-hole if I chose not to invite him and the family members who are agreeing with him to my wedding? No! You would not be the a-hole!
You don't need to invite someone that's so toxic in your life. You don't own that.
You know it. You know your father's trash. I think you just want to hear the rest of the internet tell you that he is. Comment number 1. Not the a-hole. Your wedding is about you and your partner. Anyone who has any issues with it can go F off. If they don't support you two, then they shouldn't be welcomed. Celebrate the love the two of you have and the promise you're making to each other. By not inviting them, you're showing your wife to be who you're going to support and whose side you're going to be on. I hope your grandparents are able to make it to your wedding. I agree with all of that. Comment 2, not the a-hole. His DNA does not give him a right to be at your wedding. And why would you invite someone who doesn't want you to be happy? Biodad is the a-hole here, and a huge one at that. And that, folks, is the end of that story.
You don't even need us. You don't need the internet. You already know. You don't know. I mean, you already know. You don't need people to reinforce your idea.
Exactly.
He sucks.
No contact with the dad. Low contact with anybody who agreed with him, at the very least, or no contact. It's like, because I'm not married, I've never been married, but I do understand that, like, when you get married to somebody, it's kind of a huge commitment. You've now started your own family. So your allegiance now kind of has to lie with that person above practically anyone else. And I don't think any of your bigoted family members deserve your commitment and loyalty above your partner.